Welcome to another deep dive. I bet you're here because, just like me, you love to really wrap your head around complicated ideas. But you don't want to get bogged down.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today we're diving headfirst into, well, I'd say a pretty important piece of German drama.
For sure.
Kabale and Liebe.
Intrigue and Love by Friedrich Schiller.
Oh, yeah, I should have mentioned the English title.
Yeah.
Intrigue and Love for our English-speaking listeners.
Right.
And what's the German again?
It's a bürgerliches Trauerspiel.
Okay, so bourgeois tragedy.
Yes.
Tragedy, 5 acts.
Yes, indeed.
And we're using the freely available ebook from Damnick Verlag, so
Public domain.
public domain stuff, which is always good.
Always good. Yeah.
More accessible.
And we're all about accessibility here.
That's right.
So.
What I think is so fascinating about this play, right from the get-go, is just the sheer intensity of the conflict that Schiller throws at us.
Yeah.
This incredible connection between Ferdinand von Walter, who is the son of a very powerful president.
Yeah. And then on the other side, we have Louise Miller, the daughter of a, humble musician.
Yeah,
So it's this collision of worlds.
totally.
And right from these early acts, you can feel all of the societal pressures,
Yeah.
all of these manipulative forces that are really starting to tear at the relationship.
Oh, yeah. And our goal in this deep dive is to really understand those conflicts and the characters and what's driving them, especially in these early scenes.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get into Act 1, Scene 1.
Okay.
And we're right inside the Miller household.
Right in there.
And Miller, the father, he's got some pretty strong reactions right away
Yeah.
to these books that Major von Walter has brought to the house.
The prächtigen Bücher.
Yes, the magnificent books.
The magnificent book.
Yeah, so what is it about these books?
Well, I think what really hits you right away is Miller's fear.
Right.
And it's not just like, typical father worried about his daughter reading, whatever.
Right.
He's deeply afraid, and he calls these books hellish pestilence kitchen of the belletrists. He's worried that they're filling Louise's head with all these überhimmlische, Alphonsereien, supernatural fancies.
Supernatural fancies, yeah.
So there's this anxiety that comes through about the social boundaries.
Right. That's a really good point. And it doesn't stop there.
No, it doesn't.
He also has a big issue with the gifts that the Major has been bringing.
The presenter.
Right. Yeah, the presenter.
The gifts.
And Miller will not accept them.
He is vehemently opposed. He would rather beg playing his violin, he'd even destroy his cello, than accept what he calls his daughter's blood money.
Bloodgeld meiner Tochter?
Bloodgeld meiner Tochter.
Yeah.
This really shows, I think, Miller's moral core.
Right.
It's not about social climbing or material gain. He's got these principles.
Yeah, and he's very protective
He is.
of Louise.
He is.
And he even tells his wife to give up her coffee and snuff.
Right, to avoid exploiting their daughter further.
Exactly.
So he doesn't want to benefit from what he sees as Louise's, compromised position.
Yeah. Yeah. So moving on to Act 1, Scene 2, we see Miller's, determination to go and speak to the president himself.
Oh, yeah, he's going right to the top.
Yeah, he's going straight to the top.
Yeah.
He is incensed that his daughter might be seen as the Major's Führer.
His whore.
Yeah, so what does this tell us about Miller's understanding of social power?
Well, he's willing to confront this really powerful figure. So I think it shows his courage.
Yeah.
And his belief in his daughter's worth.
Yeah.
And his own rights as a father, despite his social standing.
And then we have the arrival of Secretary Wurm.
Oh, boy.
So we get a whole new dynamic here.
Absolutely.
First with Frau Miller and then with Miller himself.
Right.
And Wurm clearly has his own expectations about Louise, right?
Yeah, he fully expects to marry her.
Yeah. And Miller, he's just not having it.
He is not having it.
And I think it's really important that Miller will not force Louise into this marriage.
Right. He says, Das Mädel muss mit Ihnen leben, ich nicht.
Yeah.
The girl has to live with you, not me.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty progressive for the time.
It is.
So,
It is.
yeah. And Miller really doesn't like Wurm.
No, he does not.
He calls him all kinds of names.
He does.
Confiscated, obnoxious fellow.
With small, treacherous mouse eyes. And
fiery red hair.
yeah,
You can just feel the animosity.
you can. And why such a strong dislike?
Well, I think it really highlights Miller's judgment.
Yeah.
He distrusts Wurm.
Yeah.
And also, it sets Wurm up as a potential antagonist.
Right.
So he's a man whose ambitions are being thwarted
Right.
because of Louise's affections for Ferdinand.
Right.
So this is going to lead to problems later in the play.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then in Act 1, Scene 3, our attention shifts to Louise.
Yeah.
And she's really going through it.
Yeah, big time.
She misses Ferdinand. She wonders where he could be.
Wo wohl jetzt ist.
But she feels inadequate.
She does.
Compared to these noble ladies.
Yeah, she's comparing herself constantly.
Yeah.
And she feels like she doesn't measure up.
But what's interesting is that she catches herself.
Yeah.
She loves and respects her father so much.
Yeah, and her expressions of love for Ferdinand are just amazing.
They're so poetic.
They're so poetic. Yeah, like the one where she wishes she could just breathe her life into a gentle breeze to cool his face.
Yeah, or that her youth could be a violet that he could tread on and die beneath.
Yeah, so Schiller's really giving us a look into her intense emotions here.
Yeah, he is.
And then her dad, he regrets that she ever met the Major.
Yeah.
He says it would have been better.
He's full of regret.
Yeah.
And then she remembers the first time she saw Ferdinand.
And it's powerful, right?
It's powerful. She says, Alle Puls, jede Wallung sprach, jede Atem lispelte, eramists.
Every pulse, every surge spoke, every breath whispered, it is he.
Yeah, you get that immediate recognition,
Yeah.
that sense of destiny. And
Right.
even though it's a classic romantic trope, Schiller really makes it believable.
So moving into Act 1, Scene 4, we have that reunion between Ferdinand and Louise.
Mm-hmm.
And even though there's not a lot of talking at first,
Right?
you can feel that tension and connection.
Oh, yeah.
And Ferdinand, right away, he notices that Louise is pale.
He does. He's really concerned.
Yeah.
And he wants her to be completely honest with him about her feelings.
And he says, Kein Gedanke tritt in dies Angesicht, der mir entwischte.
No thought enters this face that escapes me.
And what's that telling us about how he sees their relationship?
Well, I think he really believes they have this deep connection. Like,
Yeah.
he knows her inside and out.
Yeah. But he also seems a little...
Possessive?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, he might not be seeing the whole picture
Yeah.
of her internal struggles
Yeah.
and all the external pressure she's facing.
Right. And then she says, Wie schön in dieser Sprache das bürgerliche Mädchen sich ausnimmt.
How beautiful in this language the bourgeois girl appears.
Yeah, and you really feel the weight of that social difference between them.
Yeah, she's very aware of it.
But Ferdinand's just like, nope, just focus on our love.
He's dismissive
Yeah.
of her concerns.
Right. And I think she sees what's coming.
She does. She has a premonition.
Yeah.
She mentions the voice of fame, his plans, his father, her nothingness.
Die Stimme des Hums, deine Entwürfe, dein Vater mein Nichts.
Yeah, it's foreshadowing.
Yeah. And then she says, Dolch über dir und mir, man trennt uns.
A dagger over you and me, they will separate us.
Yeah. That's
One day.
chilling.
It's
because
terrific.
you know what's coming.
And Ferdinand he's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, he's bewildered.
Yeah.
He says, Du hast den Feuerbrand in mein junges Friedsames Herz geworfen.
You have thrown the firebrand into my young, peaceful heart.
He doesn't get it.
Yeah.
He's so naive.
So then Act 1, Scene 5, we're in the world of the aristocracy,
Fancy.
the president and Worm.
Okay.
And right away, the president, he just can't believe that his son could possibly be serious about a commoner like Louise.
He just can't wrap his head around it.
He calls her Burger Canai.
Common rabble.
Yeah, and he calls her father just a musician.
Just a musicus.
So he's got this huge class prejudice. Huge.
He just cannot fathom this relationship.
Yep.
And then Worm, he jumps in and starts talking about Louise's beauty.
Oh, yeah.
But what's his motivation here?
Well, I think he's trying to undermine Ferdinand
Right.
by saying she's beautiful. He's implying that Ferdinand's interest is just superficial.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the president, he really shows us his true colors, right?
He does.
He's so cynical.
Yeah, he thinks Ferdinand's just trying to gain popularity.
Right.
Or that he's being witty to further his ambitions.
Right. And the president's goal is very clear.
Crystal clear.
He wants Ferdinand to marry Lady Milford.
Mein Ferdinand die Milford Herethensal.
Yeah, my Ferdinand shall marry Milford.
Yeah.
And this adds a whole other dimension.
It does.
A political dimension.
Yeah, it's not just personal and romantic.
Right, it's about power
Right.
and influence.
Yeah.
He wants to control his son's future.
And then we really see how the president and Worm interact.
Oh, yeah. It's a power struggle.
Yeah, the president is...
He's stubborn. Yeah, and he gets angry easily.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows that Worm is jealous of Ferdinand.
And he uses it
Yeah.
to his advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Worm, he comes up with this plan to test Ferdinand
Oh, yeah, the plan.
by announcing his engagement to someone else.
He's sneaky.
Yeah.
He's manipulative.
And the president loves it.
He loves it.
Yeah.
It plays right into his hands.
So Act 1, Scene 6, it's it's a little bit of a change of pace.
Yeah, a little bit.
We've got the Hofmarschall,
Right.
and he's telling this story about a muddy carriage.
Yeah, it's a funny little anecdote.
Yeah, and it seems a little out of place
It does.
with all the drama going on.
Yeah,
But I think it's there on purpose.
I think so too.
It's like a contrast.
A contrast.
Yeah, between the serious stuff and the trivial stuff.
Right, and it highlights the superficiality
Of the court.
of the court
Yeah.
and the aristocracy.
Yeah.
You're worried about appearances
Right.
while real problems are brewing.
Exactly. And then Act 1, Scene 7, we have the confrontation between Ferdinand and his father.
A big one.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
And the president, right away, he accuses Ferdinand of acting differently.
Yeah, he's like, what's going on with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different. And he tries to steer him towards a prestigious career.
He lists all the titles.
Yeah. Ministerium, Geheimenrat, Gesandtschaften.
Ministry, Privy Council, embassies.
But Ferdinand, he has a very different reaction.
Yeah, he's horrified.
Yeah, he's horrified when his dad admits to some of the things he's done.
Yeah, he's like, besser gar nicht geboren zu sein, als dieser Misset zur Ausrede dienen.
Better not to have been born at all than to serve as an excuse for this villainy.
Strong words.
Yeah.
Strong words.
He's disgusted
Yeah.
by his dad's corruption.
It's a clash of values.
Totally.
Yeah, father and son, completely different.
Yeah. And the president, he just doesn't understand
No, he doesn't.
why Ferdinand doesn't want this.
This great opportunity.
Yeah.
He just doesn't get it.
And he threatens to force happiness upon Ferdinand.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Yep.
So Ferdinand, he's like, I'm not going to crawl around the throne.
Ich krieg dem Thron herum.
Yeah.
He's defiant.
Yeah. And then the president, he just pulls out this big announcement.
Oh, yeah. What's he going to do?
Ferdinand's engaged
Who?
to the Countess of Ostheim. So what's he doing here?
He's trying to shock Ferdinand into obedience.
Right.
Force him into a socially acceptable marriage.
Right.
But Ferdinand is devastated.
Yeah, he says Friedrich Schiller could make anyone else happy.
Yeah, but not him.
Yeah.
His heart belongs to Louise.
Right.
Yeah.
And the president, he thinks Ferdinand is being a hypocrite.
Of course he does.
And he orders Ferdinand to go see Lady Milford.
And what if he doesn't?
He's going to face his wrath.
Oh, boy.
So Ferdinand's left feeling trapped.
Yeah, he's desperate.
Yeah, and he decides he's got to talk to Louise.
Okay.
And he's going to reject Lady Milford, even in front of everyone.
Oh, this is going to be good.
This is going to be bad.
Yeah, this is going to be bad.
Yeah, so as we wrap up this first part of our deep dive into Kabale und Liebe, we've got a lot of conflict going on.
Oh, yeah, layers of conflict.
Yeah, we've got Ferdinand and Louise. Their love is forbidden.
Forbidden love.
Yeah, we've got Miller. He's protective.
Protective dad.
Yeah, he's worried about their social standing.
And rightfully so.
Yeah, and then there's Worm. He's scheming.
Always scheming.
Yeah, and then the president, he's just power hungry.
Ruthless.
Yeah.
Ambitious.
And Schiller's created this dramatic tension
right from the start.
right from the start.
You've got those social inequalities.
Yeah, and the characters are just, they're so vivid.
They are.
Like Miller, he's got such a temper.
Yeah, fiery.
Yeah. Louise, she's strong.
Yeah, and she's got that poetic way of speaking.
Yeah, Ferdinand, he's torn.
Between love and duty.
Yeah, the president's cold.
Calculating.
Worm's sneaky.
Insidious.
Yeah, and you just get this feeling that something bad's going to happen.
You can feel it coming.
So for you listening, how are Ferdinand and Louise going to overcome all of this?
Yeah, what's going to happen?
What is Worm up to?
What's his end game?
Is the president going to get his way?
Who knows?
And what about Lady Milford?
Yeah, she's the wild card.
Yeah, we haven't even met her yet.
We haven't seen her yet.
So Schiller's really bringing up these timeless themes.
Oh, yeah.
Social class,
Parental control.
love versus duty.
Political intrigue.
And we're just getting started.
It's the beginning.
Yeah, so as you continue on with Kabale und Liebe,
Yeah.
think about how these conflicts are going to play out.
Yeah, how's it all going to end?
Yeah,
Is there going to be a happy ending?
maybe.
Maybe not.
It is a tragedy.
It is a tragedy.
So Schiller's really showing us the dark side
The dark side.
of social rules and manipulation.
And how it can destroy happiness.
Yeah. So a lot to think about as we move forward with this story.
A lot to unpack.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for listening.